Hello, this is Mike, and this is the PETdisk MAX Kit, and I'm going to show you how to assemble it. So the different parts we have are the main board here, we have the SD card holder on here, we have the microcontroller, we have a edge connector, which connects to the IEEE 488 port on the Commodore PET, Wi-Fi module, this is an ESP01 Wi-Fi module, we have an 8-pin inline socket here. We have a wire jumper and a clip, and this is for providing 5 volts power to the PETdisk MAX device. So first thing you want to do is take the main board here and the edge connector, and we are going to put the edge connector through these holes here. Just take a note of which side you're assembling it on. It goes like this. Sometimes you have to wiggle the pins a little bit to get it in, but there you go. So the actual connector part goes on this is the back side without the SD card holder. So just make sure that you are putting it on the right side. And we're going to solder 2 of the pins on here just to hold it down. All you need for this kit is a soldering iron and solder. And there is no surface mount soldering required. Let's put the fume fan on here. Okay. Just a little bit of solder on the corner. Don't worry if it's flush with the connector yet. Let's do 1 pin, then apply a little bit of heat again, and then flatten it out once it melts, and just make sure that it's flush up against the connector, like so. I'm going to do 1 pin on the other corner like this. Hold down this side. You don't have to worry about getting a lot of solder on there yet, just enough to hold it in place. Oh yeah, here's the other part of the kit that I neglected to mention before. This is the edge connector extension. And this allows you to connect other IEEE devices while the PETdisk is connected to the PET. So you can use printers, PET printers, disk drives, etc. Okay, so now what you want to do is, we've got these 2 corner pins tacked down. I'm just going to use my finger to bend all these pins in slightly. Got a roughly 45-degree angle, or maybe a little less. You don't have to be that precise about it. And then the top row as well, so they're pointing toward each other. They're not perfectly lined up, not a problem. You take the extension here. Just take a note of where these slots are on the extension. When your board is facing this way, you want this slot here, where there's 3 pins and then a slot. Just make sure that's on your left-hand side, like so. Now I'm just going to slide the board into place like that through the rows of bent pins. So it should look something like this. And now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to, again, I'm going to do 1 pin at the side just to get this thing lined up, and so we don't have to hold it in place. So apply a little bit of solder here. This is the angle is not very good. A little bit of solder right there. so this won't move. You can see that I'm not quite at a 90-degree angle yet, so just go back, keep this pin up a little, and just move the board a bit until it's not quite straight yet there. Just want it to be at a 90-degree angle. It's getting pretty good. I'm just going to do it one more time. Okay, that was good. And then let's do the other side here. Okay, so I did this pin here in the corner. Let's double check that that also looks. Reheat that, and again adjust the board until it's a nice 90-degree angle, like so. And once you've done that, go back and we're going to solder all these pins now to the connections on this extension board, and use a decent amount of solder here. We want to make sure that we get connection both from the pin to the extension board and from the pin to the other main board with the SD card connector. So just don't be afraid to use a good amount of solder and make sure that there's a good connection between both of those positions here. So we'll go ahead and do that. Just give you a little better view of that. You can see that this connection there, it's kind of a smooth blob of solder between the pin and the pad on here and the hole on the main board. So, and then just go ahead and do all the pins top and bottom in the same way. Make sure to go back over the pins that you previously tacked down and make sure that those are now fully connected. Alright, and now flip it and do the top pins. Just going to prop this up. Yeah, I'm going to prop this up with another edge connector here just to show you a better view of it. Better. Alright, and then just double check your solder joints here, and again just make sure that you have what looks like a smooth connection between the pad here, and it also includes the pin from the edge connector and the hole on the board here. And double check both sides, and it looks good. All right. Next, we take this 8-pin edge connector, in the inline socket here, and we are going to place that on the back side, like so. So I like to just try to tack it down with a single pin on the front and prop it up on something that works pretty well. As long as it holds it in place long enough for you to solder one pin. Alright, so now you just, one pin held on, and now just heat up the pin again and move the connector so it is flush with the board, and 90-degree angle there. And finish up with the rest of the pins. Okay. Here's what we have so far. Got that on the back there. We got the connector on and the edge connector attached. And finally, we have the Wi-Fi module. So Wi-Fi module goes onto the front, like so, and just like that. It's going to look something like that when it's in. Goes in this direction. Let's go around to the back, and same thing. Do one pin to hold it, and then move it into position. Yep. Try to get it so it's parallel to the board. And now just finish up, solder all these pins, and then you're going to clip off the excess length. Okay. I'll just double check the soldering. It's good. Take a clipper and clip off the excess. I like to take a piece of paper or cardboard or something and just hold it against here while you're clipping so this thing doesn't go flying. Alright, there you go. The main assembly is done here. You can clean this off a little bit with isopropyl alcohol if you have any. It's like some flux residue from the solder I got on here, but just wipe that off. And next we will attach this to a PET and show you how to do that. Once you have your PET disk assembled, you connect it to the IEEE 488 port on the back of your PET, and this is a PET 2001. Just make sure this port is the IEEE port. This is the user port, which just there's the same number of pins, so I just don't get those confused. This is the cassette port, so it's the one on this model, at least. It's the one closest to the power switch, one furthest away from the cassette port. So connect that. And then we're going to turn the PET around and open it up and connect the power. Alright, we've got the PET opened up here. And you can see the PET disk plugged in the back. You want to take your wire jumper and get the pin end. And you're going to connect it from this view. It's the socket all the way to the right. Just be careful of that. So it's the rightmost position in the socket. So there you go. There's a better view of it. So yeah, it's worth double checking to make sure that you've plugged it into the correct socket here. But yeah, it's the one all the way on the right side. And then next thing you want to do is we're going to find you connect it to a 5-volt source on the board. And what I like to do, because it's very easy to find, is you connect it to one of the 6520 chips. And their location differs on different PETs, but they're pretty clearly labeled. You'll see 6520, there's 2 of them in the PET. In this model, they're all the way toward the back. And 5 volts on the 6520 is pin 20, which is, if you start with a notch here, this is pin 1. Let's go all the way to the other end, and this is the right pin here, all the way at that corner. You can take this one, or you can take This one doesn't matter. It's 5 volts. If you have another 5-volt source that you want to use, you can use one of the filter caps, anything like that. Just a 5-volt source on the board, but the 6520, in my experience, is a very easy place to find one. So let's go ahead and do that. So you want to connect the other end of your wire jumper to your clip, like so. There's a pin on the back of the clip, and you just connect the socket end of the wire jumper there. Now we're going to go for pin 20 here on the 6520 chip. So just squeeze that and clip on there. Should be fairly straightforward. Just make sure you have a good connection there, and that is it. You're hooked up, you've got power going to the PETdisk MAX, and you're ready to go.